What's up everyone, it's Russo. I hope everyone is doing well. Please follow my Instagram at RussoLifts, just in case something happens to this YouTube channel. You can follow, message, and you can watch my daily story content on Instagram. I'll see you there. What's up everyone, it's Russo. I hope everyone is doing well. Back in the woods, this time with a different hoodie on. Going to be talking about the biggest mistake I see when people initially join the dark side, the one key thing they overlook. And this video is pretty self-explanatory, it's obvious. I just want to break down why it's so important, because I think people jump the gun when it goes to being enhanced. You know, maybe their friends are going enhanced, maybe, you know, they see something on the internet and decide, boom, I want to be enhanced. You know, it's my opinion, when I weighed it out, it was very, well calculated risk to reward ratio to even do that little Sarms only experiment I did. And I did throw that up back to my very first journey down the enhanced road. So check that out on YouTube, some throwback cringe for you. But that was very weighed out before I decided to get on camera and do that. I did not just like, ooh, I'm just gonna go be enhanced now. No, I really thought about it. And I knew all the consequences before, deciding to take those risks to what I wanted to do with my life, and, how I wanted to document it. And although that's a low risk cycle, and I did get blood work done after, that really showed, not much happened as far as side effects. I've seen other cases of, worse things playing. So yeah, I weighed out my decision, but I did make the mistake that I'm going to talk about in this video, and that is getting complete natty baseline blood work pulled, so you have the holy grail of what the snapshot of your blood work looks like before any exogenous androgen enters the system. Now, I can't tell you how much I regret not getting baseline bloods and how many people do not get baseline bloods. And I know it's obvious, but let's go into why baseline blood work is so much more important than any other blood work. First off, you want to pull baseline bloods to see where your natural testosterone is sitting and where your luteinizing hormone and follicle stimulating hormone is sitting. This lets you know how the balls are doing as far as sperm count and producing their own testosterone. And you want to see how turned on they are, how high they are, and overall where your test is sitting at with free testosterone as well. And then you want to check on your estrogen, because post-cycle, let's say you had really good natural testosterone, but you still want to be enhanced, you still hit that plateau, and you still want to join the dark side. But let's say you had 800 to 900 natural testosterone, you're like a peak natty testosterone type deal. You decide to run your first Sarm cycle, your first gear cycle, whatever it is. They're synthetic androgens, it's all the same shit. And post cycle, you get your bloods done and your testosterone is now 400 to 450, and you for some reason do not try PCT and do not try natural methods to get it up, and you say, oh, I need TRT now. I need TRT because your libido has changed, right? Your libido is functioning normally on that 800 to 900 mark. It no longer functions normally on the 450 mark. So you go to the doctor because you think you have the right to get testosterone because your libido is fucked up, and the doctors care about your libido and your performance in bed, because that's a big quality of life for a male. But you will get denied from TRT, HRT, because on the scale for their medical book, if it is not under 220, under 250, you are still in the good range. It doesn't matter if your personal blood work would show that you only had good libido functioning at that 800 to 900 mark. Now that you've run this cycle and you didn't PCT correctly and rebound your HPTA properly, you're now sitting at the 450 mark. Your libido is drastically low. But from a physician standpoint, since he has no way of knowing what your libido, what your testosterone sat at to maintain your high libido naturally,
he really isn't allowed to prescribe HRT, TRT without the possibility of getting sued, because he's going on his wit, right? He's not going directly against the textbook that would hold up in court, you know, if something would happen, right? So that is first off, number one. Second off, you want to have that baseline blood work to constantly be able to get back to it, or try and get as close back to it as possible. I'll go into another scenario of where your baseline blood work could tell you that you shouldn't probably do steroids. So let's say you do your baseline blood work, you know, you're ready to start your cycle, and you pull your bloods and your LDL is sky high and your HDL naturally is really low. Well, guess what? Steroids are going to exacerbate that issue, and that will lead to heart disease problems. So it would be best to correct your cholesterol issues before jumping on a cycle. So I think some people have fucked up cholesterol and they don't get baseline bloods before their first cycle, and then they come off and they're like, oh, my cholesterol is absolutely fucked. It was just this cycle that fucked it all up. When in reality, it could be that your cholesterol was already fucked up and you exacerbated the issue tenfold by, you know, using exogenous androgens, which, you know, gears exogenous cholesterol essentially. So you don't have that, you know, snapshot of what everything was like before the variables started being tweaked. You really cannot underplay the importance of post-cycle blood work, especially when it comes to fixing libido, especially when you might need to go get a TRT script in the future. You have no idea what your libido was functioning at, right? So I use the example of the high natty guy who couldn't get it back to those peak levels after. But it could also be like, okay, you know, maybe I need more free testosterone to have my libido correctly, or maybe my libido spikes at high estrogen, or maybe my libido spikes at low estrogen. You know, this is my baseline blood work that showed me all these variables on how my libido functioned, how my blood thickness looked before jumping on cycle, how my cholesterol looked before jumping on cycle, how my liver enzymes look before jumping on cycle, especially orals. You can see that maybe, your liver was already stressed out again before going into the cycle, and you redlined it with high toxicity orals, or maybe your liver was perfectly fine, perfectly functioning normally, and this oral might have had something in it that you weren't expecting, and your liver enzymes were absolutely fucking throttled off the charts. You know, having these baseline blood work, especially before you start anything, you know, having these baseline bloods will give you insight on what variables changed in your snapshots and what you need to do to combat and post-cycle therapy. Again, I can't stress this enough. So many people come to me with all these issues, these concerns, or these questions, and they act like I'm some fucking genie. They act like I can just, it only really comes together when you have the original either pre-cycle bloods, but really, if you're having a big issue, it really helps to look at your, before going enhanced at all, your perfectly natty pulled baseline blood work tells someone a lot about libido, kidney health, liver health before, you know, going down that route, because after each cycle the variables change, and then you don't really know what stuff started out like. You could be exacerbating issues, or something could be declining rapidly and you have no idea. So I am just pleading with people to actually draw bloods, get bloods done, and then go from there. Right. Overall, you can cycle more calculated, you can cycle with mitigated damage, and you can see exactly, okay, you know, my cholesterol is really going down the gutter, I need to combat that. Or, okay, these definitely didn't do well with my liver enzymes. They might have done well with my friend's liver enzymes, but personally for me, probably not worth the gains. Again, I'm just imploring people to get more calculated, more scientific with their methods of approach with enhancement, because it just, like, I can't guess. When I get all these questions, I cannot guess in the Instagram DM box, and it just annoys the shit out of me that people will not go get bloods pulled. It's not that hard. I'm gonna link my video down when I was like really young and got my bloods pulled after 6 SARM cycles in a row. So check that. That will be in the pinned comment below. You can see how simple it is. You don't have to go to your primary physician. You can do it all, only you see it. You can just order it off a website. They email you the doctor's order to go get the blood test of whichever one you pick pulled. You go to Quest Diagnostics, they draw your bloods, and then 3 days later they email you your results, and you can choose to share that with your primary physician, or you can choose to share that with whoever you want, or you can only keep that to yourself. But at least you're, again, monitoring what is going on and you have an idea. Again, blood work doesn't show everything, but it gives you a snapshot of what's going on and what things and what variables could be influencing which markers that are going in and out of range. And then you will learn that weightlifters have some markers that are higher than others just because of the way weightlifters train, and you will overall mitigate a lot of damage than just Russian roulette every single cycle. And then when your libido's finally fucked up, when your libido's so fucked up you can't get it up and you have no idea and your emotions all over the place, if you're just pulling bloods the whole time, you'd probably do PCT protocols to correct those issues, or at least go into cruises to correct those issues. But don't wait for it to get that bad, because then it's very hard when someone has no idea what your markers were sitting at before you put yourself into that hole. This way you're being much more proactive at mitigating damage and being able to back off when the time is necessary, as well as see what compounds react well with you and which don't, especially with blood thickness wise. Do not forget to donate blood as well. So that's my little rant today. I just really want to implore people to just at least get more calculated with your cycles. Like, I read so many messages a day. I have people reaching out to me on Instagram, email, YouTube, Facebook, all these different messengers, and I see a lot of the same shit over the years. And I will tell you, getting baseline bloods for a lot of these issues would make combating and getting out of that hole so much easier, because you know what you need to strive to get back to, or you know what markers were moved. So that's overall my rant today. I hope everyone is doing well and have a good time in quarantine.